So, welcome to episode number 3. In this episode, I wanted to just take a trip back to memory lane because everything's better in hindsight, right? Things that I wish I knew sooner about how to transform, how to fast track being better, right? It's always easier in hindsight to say, oh, I should have done this sooner, I should have made that change, I should have done this. But at the time, if we knew what to do, we would have done it. And how many people still say that today? I know what I need to do, I just need to do it. But they don't do it. I watched Oppenheimer with my wife over the weekend, and a big lesson that I took from that is the phrase, I can't remember his name, the scientist next door, for anyone that's seen the movie, when Oppenheimer is working on his theory, his equations, and he can't crack the equation for the atomic bomb that they're working on. And the guy next door who's got the prac lab says, theory will only get you so far. And that goes for life as well. You can theoretically know how to do something, how to make a multi-million-dollar business, how to get fit, how to stay fit, how to be a great dad, how to have an amazing sex life, how to have a perfect marriage. But unless you're practicing those things, unless you're putting that into practice and bringing that into reality, there's going to be a big gap between what you think you know and what actually happens in reality. Especially when you involve the world and other people, people can react differently to how you think, which can make you feel different to how you anticipate. So it's not enough to just know what to do. It takes balls and, or ovaries, or I guess that women can be a lot tougher than men at times, to actually put that into practice and not be afraid to fail. Because ultimately, I was in this camp. Like, I was afraid to fail. I would take things personally, and especially starting Primal Energies, I would take feedback on the products personally, like it was against me. If it wasn't good enough, if it didn't taste nice, if it was just like the person thought it was trash, I would take that to heart. Like, they think I'm trash, that I'm not good enough, that I'm a piece of shit, that I'm all these things, when it had nothing to do with me. It was just, that's what they thought of the product. Like, and naturally when people say like, oh, it's great, it's helped me do this and helped me do that, then that would be a boost in my confidence. Like, oh yeah, I'm good enough, I'm so great at all these things. When reality is, they didn't mean anything to me personally. It was just about the product. And so I heard this saying that was used in the sales space, because we used to coach a lot of sales guys, a lot of the guys at Sales Sniper, which is part of or the owner or the founder of Sales Sniper is heavily involved in 7th level for anyone that's in the sales space. And one of the guys there used to tell me that they had this motto of, if you live for the cheers, you'll die by the booze. Which basically means if you are inflated and live for the compliments, live for the times that you make the sale in that instance, or you base your confidence and your self-worth off the time of the good feedback and the positive reinforcement, then the times that you don't get that positive reinforcement, the times that you don't get told what you want to hear, then that will be very detrimental to your confidence and to your ability to execute and keep moving forward. So being able to separate myself from the brand, from the products, from my actions even, was a very hard process. But it was a necessary part of the process so that I didn't continue to take things personally. Because naturally, there's always going to be things in life that don't go the way that we plan. There's always going to be things in life that we aren't good at or that we fail at. And when we have that personal relationship with failure, that it means that we're not good enough, that I'm broken, that I'm shit, that I'm all these negative things, it stops us from making change. And so when we can separate those, it enables us to take those failures, those feedback as experiences, as basic, as I said, feedback. Okay, that action did not get the result that we wanted. Why? Because this didn't go to plan because this happened. Awesome. We now have a framework or a plan of what we need to improve for next time. Awesome. There's an awesome quote that I have no idea where it came from, but I think it's wonderful. And it says that I would rather know why I failed than to be oblivious to why I succeeded. Because if you fail but you know why, you know what to improve. Okay, I could do this better, do more of this, less of that. Awesome. That's our game plan for next time. But even if you succeed and you don't really know why, then how can you replicate that? How can you grow from that? How can you ensure that happens again next time? You don't know how. Like it's almost luck at that point, which is not very helpful for sustainable growth in personal or business. And so one of the things that I wish I knew sooner, or that I changed sooner, was two things. One, that relationship to failure. Acknowledging that failure is part of the prerequisite to success. If I said that you need to fail 99 times before the 100th time in which you will succeed, how differently would you approach that failure? I'd be excited. One lesson down, one closer to success. Obviously, it doesn't work that way in life. Sometimes you'll succeed on your third time. Other times, it may not be to your 199th time, but you're gaining experience along the way. And so I used to be a chef when I first left school, and I worked under a lot of great head chefs, and the chefs that I respected the most, the chefs that I thought were the best at their craft and weren't the ones that could create an immaculate dish or could follow a recipe or create, a perfectly balanced plate of food, but were the ones that could fix the mistakes, the ones that could fix the 20 liters of split aioli that the apprentice fucked up, the one that could bring that dish that the apprentice ruined back to life, the one that had that experience because he had been through that phase. He had been through the phase of fucking around and finding out, okay, this doesn't work. You start to identify when things aren't working sooner. Oh shit, it's starting to split, slow down the oil, okay, add a bit more warm water, okay, slow it down, stabilize it again, okay, cool, now you're ready to proceed. You don't get all the way to the end and think, oh, now it's fucked up. Now what do I do with it? Throw it out, start again, right? You've just wasted all this time, all these ingredients, and you haven't learned how to fix things. But then if we learn how to identify when to pivot, when to adjust things sooner, it saves us a lot of time, energy, and money in life. And this can be very hard to identify on your own. Almost impossible, right? It's going to take you a lot of failures, or a lot more failures, and a lot more time, and a lot more effort, a lot more energy, a lot more money than it would if you have a mentor, if you have somebody else to guide you through the process, to show you what you're not seeing, to point out some of those blind spots. Like, sure, you can do just about anything you want in life. The do-it-yourself model. There's plenty of information on the internet. God, there's no shortage of information out there. But we're not in an information shortage. Like, we're in a execution shortage. Because most people know, as we said at the start, most people know what to do. They just don't do it. But if you've got a mentor, it can help to shine light onto doing those things if they are the right path, but also identifying things that you're maybe missing. Because if we look at it from a logical standpoint, if you were able to do what you needed to do to get the result, to be the person that you want to be, to create the dream life and business that you want to have, then you would have it by now. Like if you had all the skills and all the traits of being able to do that, then there is no logical reason why you wouldn't have done it and have the thing by now. So logically, there is a blockage there. It's either in information, cool, go find it. In execution, have someone to hold you accountable, or in something that you're not seeing. And so to bring some NLP, some neuro-linguistic programming into this. Through that model, they say that there are 2.4 million bits of information available to our brain every second through all of our five senses. There's that much information. But obviously, we can't comprehend that amount of information because our brain would implode. Our brain can only compute 134 bits of that information. And what it decides on which bits of that information are relevant for us to take notice of are passed through three filters: delete, distort, and generalize. And how it decides which filters to push everything through and what to recognize and to identify consciously are based on our experiences, our genetics, and our values and everything else. And so if we have not been in a position before that runs a multi-million dollar business, that has the level of health, that has the things that we don't want to have the things that we do want to have right now, but we don't, then there's bits of information that we are incorrectly processing, that we are either deleting or distorting, that are worth taking note of. Bits of information that we are perceiving differently that do not serve us. So there are bits of information that might make you feel stressed or anxious, which means you don't take action. But if you can see those from a different light, maybe you see them as opportunities, you get excited about them, you then take action on them. But that is extremely hard to do on your own. So having a mentor to see different perspectives, and so you don't have to go out and pay for a mentor, right? Yes, that can be extremely valuable, and I highly recommend, if you have the funds to do so, go and find someone that has done the thing that you want to do or has helped other people to do the things or be in the position that you want to be in to achieve those things. But just listening to someone's podcast, reading an autobiography, reading their books, consuming their information and their content is a great way to get somebody else's lessons, perspectives, without you having to go through those scars, those lessons, that time, that energy, that effort yourself. And it takes a lot of humility. A lot of guys especially will be like, oh, I'll just figure it out myself. I don't need anyone else to tell me what to do. I'll figure it out on my own. No doubt that you can figure it out on your own. But for everything in life, there is a cost. If you want to do it yourself, the cost is time, energy, and maybe money. If you invest that money in poor decisions, or you spend it on things that aren't conducive to achieving that result. And so for me personally, I want to buy back as much time as I physically can. I want to spend as much money as I possibly can buying other people's experiences and lessons so that I can fast track my growth as an individual and as a business. Because I know that I can make more money. I know that will come around eventually. But what I can't get back, no matter how broke or rich I am, is time. Like, a lot of parents will resonate with this. Having a child is a very confronting measure of time. Watching them grow, watching them develop can be quite scary, because you see them after 6 months, after 12 months, after a couple of years, and you see this thing has gone from basically nothing to this thing that can walk, talk, fight you, disagree with you, and do all these cool things. And what have you done in the process? In the time that this thing has developed, how much progress have you made personally? How many things have you changed that you said you were going to change? And so a lot of those things can be fast-tracked by utilizing a mentor that can highlight these blind spots. Like, hey, what if you thought about it this way? Have you thought about doing it this way? Have you thought of that perspective? Because a lot of the times, some of the biggest flips in my mind have been a mentor pointing out options I didn't even see on the freaking table, right? They weren't even things that I had even considered. And so when I first started Primal Energies, I was basically an employee mindset, do it yourself kind of guy. I tried some mushroom extracts. This is cool. How do you grow mushrooms? That's fun. How do you make a tincture? That's interesting. That seems pretty easy. And it kind of progressed from there. And so as I went through that journey very organically, it was very much, well, I want to do this. I'll just do it myself. And I'm sure you either are or know a business owner that is of that same mindset. That, I'll just do it myself. It's too hard to train other people. I don't want to have to explain it. They get it wrong. They don't do it to the right standard. I'll just do it myself. Problem with that is it's very limiting because you only have 24 hours in a day. And we're also limited by our own perspective, knowledge, and skill set. And so when I got to a point where I was physically couldn't grow enough of the mushrooms, I couldn't physically do everything on my own, the mentor I was talking to said, well, Harrison, why do you need to do it all on your own? Why are you doing every single step? Like, is it possible that you could maybe outsource some of this, get somebody else to do it, but still maintain the quality that you hold for Primal? I thought, that's interesting. And then it was like this light bulb switch that I don't have to do everything, that I can outsource some of these things and somebody else can do them. I can still get the result that I want, but I don't have to put in all this effort. And it doesn't mean that I'm lazy. It doesn't mean that it doesn't take anything away from me as an individual, where I thought that I have to do everything all on my own. Otherwise it's not authentic or it's not my business or anything like that. You see the rise in drop shipping, and those people don't even fucking touch the product, but they make all this money. And so a key lesson that I picked up from Alex Hormozy, who's one of my big role models at the moment, was if someone is doing better in business than you, there is something that they know about business that you don't. Regardless of what you think of them as a human, whether you think they're a good person, a bad person, whether they were handed everything from mummy and daddy, or they just got lucky, none of those things serve you. There is something about business that they know that you do not. And this realization of not having to do everything on my own, not having to figure everything out on my own, was like this lightning bolt. And then I went into this overdrive of, how do I outsource everything? How do I make it so that anything that I don't want to do, I can pay somebody else to do? I can pay someone else to show me how to do this thing. I can pay someone else to do this for me. And that's the space that I'm in at the moment. I'm paying a marketing consultant at the moment to revamp my website, my branding, and give me a system to follow so that I don't have to fuck around to find out. Anyone that's tried to grow a social media following and has even dabbled in trying to understand the changing algorithms of social media know that it's a lot. Trying to figure out the hooks and the lines and the engaging trends and all that kind of stuff is a full-on process, and it can take a lot of your energy and a lot of your time, and it takes away from the stuff that, if you don't like doing that, it can take away from the stuff that you do like to do, and then everything else gets watered down because you're spread so thin. And so for me, I'm trying to buy back as much time as I can. I'm trying to outsource as much of that stuff as I can, because I know if I can bring at least one more person onto the team, I've now doubled our time. Instead of having 24 hours a day as a one-person team, one more person, cool. Now as a team, we have 48 hours in a day. Plus I've got their lessons and their expertise to shortcut my time to getting to that result. So instead of it taking me 6 months to figure this out, I've got their lessons, we can do it in a week. And then so you're constantly finding people in the space that you want to improve on. How did you get here? What did you do to get there? What did you avoid? What were the hurdles or the obstacles that I should be wary of? Do I need to pre-handle any of those? What would I do? What would you do different? What markers do I look for to go harder in versus slow down? And this only comes from experience. And like I said, you can get this on your own by fucking around, finding out, and paying with your time and effort, or, which I said, which you can't really get back that time, or you can pay in money, which you can get back, and shortcut that time. So if in that example, if I shortcut that 6 months to 1 week and hand over some money, in the next 23 weeks for that 6 months, would I be able to make that money back, not just in my normal trading and efforts, but in the changes that they have enabled me to bring in? Is my ROI worth it? And that's how I make those decisions. Because if you can get that ROI to make sense, then I'm going to pay with money every day of the week. And so I want to end this episode here. The key takeaway I want you to think about, or action from this, is how can I shortcut my time? How can I bring on a mentor or get more feedback to progress faster? Find yourself a mentor, someone that's done something in the space that you want to achieve. They've either achieved what you want, or they've coached other people to achieve that same result, and either listen to their podcast, read their book, consume their content, or reach out to them and get some personal coaching, depending on your financial situation. Take that on board, and most importantly, take action. You'll only know by putting things in place and then finding out. You might find what worked for them may not work for you. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's skill set and execution level and risk tolerance is different. Try something. You'll get feedback. Did it work? Awesome. Why did it work? Let's do more of that. If it didn't work, why didn't it work? What are we going to do different so that either it can work, or you might realize, okay, that strategy isn't the best for our business or my situation because of XYZ. You now have a more accurate criteria of who you're looking for, or the situation that you are looking for in finding that person. So for me, one of the mentors that I found in the business space originally I didn't have this criteria, and he was in dropshipping. I didn't realize that until I got into the course. And dropshipping is completely different to the business that I'm trying to run, because I'm not looking for a new product. I'm not looking for all these kind of trends to follow. I'm hand making my product. I'm doing all this myself. And cool, $7,000 expensive lesson, but lesson learned. Next mentor I found, him and his brother handmade their products in their kitchen is where they started. Then they progressed, bought a $20,000 piece of machinery, progressed into warehouse, scaled their team, did all that kind of stuff. And now they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And I can relate to that because I'm making everything by hand. And that's the journey that I see myself going on, is scaling this, buying some more machinery, getting a warehouse, getting a team on board and going down that journey. Awesome. This guy, I can resonate with this guy, and he has walked and is walking a journey that I want to go. He's going to have a lot more relatable insights to decision making, to business that I would like to achieve and have. So he's a good person to listen to. And that wraps up another powerful episode of Be Better. Now, I hope you don't just listen to this podcast purely for mental masturbation. And as flattered as I am that you enjoy my voice that much, I'd much rather you take action. And it's time to take the insights and strategies that you've heard today and put them into action. Actually go and do something. Find a mentor. Find a way to shortcut this. Don't think that you have to do everything yourself, because there are blind spots that are limiting you from getting to where you want to go and being the person that you want to be. Most people won't though. Most people won't take action. But if you're one of the few that are, I'd love to see you rate this podcast. It will take you 2 seconds, one tap of the thumb, and it proves that you're a person of action and you're my kind of person. So thank you. If today's conversation sparked something in you, I urge you to lean into that feeling, to take that first step, and no matter how small it seems, it's going to be more than where you are right now. 1% every day compounds into huge efforts over time. Now you've got the knowledge, you've got the plan, now go take some action. Remember, don't be sorry, be better. I'll see you guys in the next episode.